At St Saviour's Pimlico, we're able to offer physical worship in church again now, and we're starting with Mass on Sundays at 10:30 a.m. It's very important to say that this is for those who are able and wish to attend church physically again. We've been worshipping and meeting online via Zoom for morning prayer and evening prayer and other things throughout the week. And that's going to continue for the foreseeable future. On Sundays, we'll be saying morning prayer at 9:30 a.m. So that if people want to come to that online and then head out to church, you'll be able to do both. It's very important to say when thinking about physical church, 10:30 on Sunday mornings, that if you're feeling unwell, if you've got any of the signs or symptoms of COVID-19, if you've been with someone in the last 14 days who's got it, then please don't come. We want to stay as safe as possible and for the church and our gathering to be safe for all who attend. Also, if you are in the vulnerable health category, either through age or through medical conditions, please feel under no pressure whatsoever to attend in person. And also, if you do decide to, just to be aware of the risk of it all. Now, if you are coming to church on a Sunday morning, things are going to look rather different for the time being. The big doors at the west entrance of the church will be wide open, allowing as much air to circulate as possible. And we hope that everyone who comes will come wearing a mask. And that may very well become mandatory soon as well for places of worship. And when you enter the church, the first thing you'll see will be a hand sanitizing station. And again, everyone is expected to sanitize their hands upon entry. And then there'll be someone who will be taking details of attendees so that we can comply with the recommendations over track and trace. Having done all of that, there'll be a few stewards who are loitering by the doors and they'll show you to a seat. Now, the church is all marked out at present with you can sit here, you can sit here, you can sit here, and the steward will show you to a seat. If you are part of a bubble, if you've come as a bubble with friends or family members, you'll be able to sit together. But if not, everyone will be very safely spaced out. And on your seat, there'll be an order of service. Now that becomes your order of service at that point. And at the end of the service, there'll be a bin for you to place it into, or if you want, you can take it home. But we're trying to limit the amount of contact anyone else might have with these surfaces. A helicopter going over very, very Pimlico. And then before and after the service, we want everyone who's come to church to be silent. So important that we try to be silent to, again, limit the risk of anything passing and indeed to keep a reverential atmosphere. This is wonderful. We can return to our sacred space and we should honour that space with talking to God before the service starts. For the service itself, there'll be some music. We can have the organ played and there'll be a cantor, a choral scholar, who from a very safe distance will be singing some beautiful and uplifting chants But for the congregation at present, there is no singing, no hymns or other parts of the liturgy can be sung by the people. And advice on these things over time will become clearer. But the Mass is the Mass, and we listen to God's word. We're going to have a sermon each week, some prayers, and then there will be no sharing of the peace, of course. We exchange and maybe turn to each other, but there's no touching each other during the sharing of the peace. And then the offertory. Now, there can be no physical collection of gifts at present, but it's very important that we support the church financially. We are suffering a huge financial hit. We've been closed for months and months. Most of our bills have continued. The outlook is very, very bleak. And we want people still, please, to support the life and ministry of our beautiful church. We've got a tap and give box now in church, so you can give in a contactless way. You can give cheques and cash. There'll be a place where you can deposit that safely. Or there are facilities online, and even in the order of service, something called a QR code. You'll see it when you're there. So at the offertory, the gifts aren't collected from the people, and the bread and wine isn't processed, but the altar is prepared by the priest, who then, thank God, once again says the Eucharistic prayer in church. At the end of that prayer, the priest will sanitize their hands again and replace their mask, make sure that's all in place. And then the stewards will direct people forward to receive Holy Communion. There's no obligation. If you don't want to receive communion, then there's no obligation to do so. But those who wish to do so will be directed forward to queue at an appropriate distance from each other, and then to sanitize your hands from a little station at the front of church, and then to put your hands stretched out forward so that the celebrant, the priest, also with their hands stretched out, can just drop the host into your hands, which you can then receive before returning to your seat. Communion will be given in only one kind, just the bread, because of course at present we can't share the chalice, the cup. At the end of Mass, there'll be some final prayers and a blessing, and we're told to go. And after the organ has finished playing us out, people are expected just to leave. Again, in silence, please. No lovely chit-chat for us at the time being. No refreshments can be served either, but just to depart. And if you've got friends and colleagues who'll be coming to church on Sundays, then you may wish to arrange to meet up in St George's Square next door. But certainly in church, in that enclosed space, we would ask everyone just to depart. It's a real blessing that we can return to the Mass, which is for all Christians the source and summit of our worshipping life. But please bear in mind that if you're not in a position to do so at present, and if you are intending to turn up physically, but would also like to remain online as a community, then the things that we have been doing these last few months via Zoom, via our website, will continue. So may God bless you, and may God bless our wonderful church of St Saviour's Pimlico.